Good morning, everybody. Now, today is a Monday morning here in Australia. I had planned to do this on Tuesday morning. Unfortunately, I've got to be at a funeral tomorrow, so I'm pre-recording it and I will share it with you during the time that it was originally scheduled for. So today we're talking about how we can save thousands and thousands of dollars when we're using Facebook ads or Instagram ads. Now, I could finish this webinar in another 30 seconds by simply saying, don't run ads at all. Okay. Now, that is still my advice if you're going to do this on your own. If you don't have someone helping you, someone who is very familiar, if not an expert in Facebook ads and does it every day, then don't run Facebook ads. Okay? That's my short answer. And that's the way I learned how to run Facebook ads, by wasting thousands of dollars, in fact, tens of thousands of dollars running ads, thinking that, okay, I've got a website, I've got some stuff I want to sell, put some ads on Facebook, people are going to buy stuff. It's not how it works. So what I want to do is actually take you through that in more detail and why and how that works and what you can do to set yourself up for success. And what you do need to do is, if you're going to run ads, how you should tackle that, who you should talk to, and where you should go from there. So for those of you who don't know me, let me introduce myself first. My name is John Lechner. I'm an Australian landscape photographer. I run two online e-commerce businesses, my own landscape photography work, and I run the work of my friend Natalie, who is a painter of Australian wildlife. We run a six-figure online art business using art storefronts, selling prints and calendars and cards only. We don't sell any originals via the website, and we're in the six figures of sales. Now, my goal isn't a six-figure art business. My goal is a seven-figure online art business. Our goal is to be selling $1 million plus on our website every single year. Right? And the techniques that I use to help our clients in lead generation for artists are the same techniques we've used to grow Natalie's business in particular to well over six figures. And this year, my goal is 250,000 in online sales. So the techniques that we use are the things that I teach and are the things that I do for our clients in lead generation for artists. But today I just wanted to talk about ads in general, because I see a lot of people asking the question about, should I boost this post? Should I do this? What do I do if I'm doing ads? And honestly, the best piece of advice is, if you're asking those questions, the best piece of advice I can give you is to not spend any money at all. Okay? Because if you do, then the chances are you're wasting your money. Now, I do often hear people insisting that they're going to do a Facebook boost, or they're going to run ads on their own without any experience, without any guidelines, without anything to help them along. And my somewhat flippant, but I think realistic response to that is to go to your wallet, find your wallet, find a $50 or $100 note, right, out of your wallet. Take that $50 or $100 note, go to the toilet, open the lid, put it in the toilet bowl, and flush the button. That is the same level of satisfaction you will get spending that $100 or $50 on doing ads on your own if you've got no experience and nobody helping you, right? You're going to feel awful about it. So flushing that money down the toilet, honestly, I believe has the same effect. All right. And I'm not saying that you can't do well with Facebook ads. We do. We generate six figures of income by using Facebook ads in the correct way. So what I want to do is talk through the things that you can do to save yourself money, and the warning signs, I guess, as well as to what you should and shouldn't do. Okay, so let's start with the first thing. And this is the question that I often ask people when they say, okay, I'm running around Facebook ads. And I say to them, what's your goal? And they look at me and say, my goal is to sell stuff, right? And I can honestly tell you, if your goal is purely to sell stuff, from that first ad you put on Facebook? The answer is no, it won't work. You are wasting your money. All right? As an artist, as a photographer, selling your stuff online, if the goal for your Facebook ad is to sell stuff, you have no traffic, you have a very small audience, then it's not going to work. Now, we use ads to sell stuff, right? Unequivocally, that works. But, one, we have a substantial online audience. On Facebook, Natalie's audience is 23,000, I think, today. There's a few thousand. On Instagram, we have an email list that's approaching 20,000 people, right? So we're not using ads to just sell stuff to people who've never heard of Natalie before. We're using ads to bolster our existing online marketing. Daily Facebook posts, daily Instagram posts, weekly emails. The Facebook ads are targeting people who've shown an intent to buy, and that's the critical thing. They're not just saying, I love you, I like your work. They're saying, I'm interested in your work, I've added something to cart, or I've clicked on this website page and kept looking at this product before, right? These are people who are showing an intent to buy. We're using the ads to help increase our conversion rate, right? To help increase our conversion rate. We're not using the ads to get someone who's never heard of Natalie before to buy something today, right? It just doesn't work. So when we're using ads in this way, then we can absolutely get sales. But if you're a new artist or you're new to online sales, and this is an important point. Now, I have had chats with many artists who've been selling face-to-face in galleries, doing shows, selling for 30 years, 40 years, right? But they've just started online this week. They've just created their Facebook page, or they've had a Facebook page for years. They've never used it. They have no online audience. Now, I hate to say this, but if that's you, you are brand new. I don't care if you've got 40 years of experience offline selling. Your new online audience has never heard of you before. You're starting from scratch. You're starting from zero, right? And that may sound really harsh, but that's the way it is. So you do have advantage over someone who's just started their art career, full stop, right? You know your work sells. You know what your pricing structures are. You know what you need to do to make money, right? That's your advantage. But when it comes to building an online business from scratch, if you sold exclusively through galleries, exclusively through face-to-face events, shows, all those sorts of things, right? You're a newbie and you're starting from zero when it comes to your online audience, okay? So let's understand that. So you're a new artist, right? Whether you've been doing this for 3 months or you're doing this for 40 years, if you're going online for the first time, you're a new artist. You do not have any online audiences. So you've got a few hundred people that follow you on Facebook, you've got a few hundred people that follow you on Instagram, and you've got 50 people on your email list, right? You can't use ads to sell your stuff, right? You can use ads to grow your audience, right? And that is the best value way for you to be spending money on ads. But there's a but with that. There are 3 numbers that you could focus on, or 2 numbers really that you could focus on, right? So you could focus on growing your social audience. So growing your Instagram, growing your Facebook, growing your TikTok, growing your Pinterest, growing your LinkedIn audience, whatever it is that you want to focus on. And you can spend money on those things to grow your audience, right? But there's a really important factor that you need to remember when you're growing those audiences. What you're doing is you're renting a space from whatever platform that is, right? You're renting a space. Now, as a renter in that space, you have 0 to none rights. I don't care whether you've spent 100 grand growing your audience on that platform. If tomorrow you do something dumb, may not even be that dumb, it could be something slightly remotely dumb, the algorithm algorithm. So a computer decides that you're no longer valuable to that platform, right? They can eliminate you from that platform immediately with no recourse at all. There are no people to talk to. There is nobody to go, but hey, let's be reasonable. I've learned my lesson. All of this doesn't work that way, right? You can lose your entire platform instantly and never speak to a human about it, right? And it doesn't matter whether you've been doing it for 5 years, 10 years, you spent 100 grand on the platform. It's just tough luck, right? You'll have to start from scratch. You'll have to create a new page, new account, different name, and work your way back up again from zero, right? So investing your money in growing your social audiences is a losing proposition because you're investing in someone else's platform, not your own. Now, I have always been, and I continue to be, an advocate for growing your email list, right? Email marketing works still. People say it's going, it still works. It sells stuff. But the critical difference between the email list and your online social audiences, whichever platform you use, is you own the list. Now, currently I'm on Art Storefronts. So I've got websites on Art Storefronts. I use MailChimp to manage my email lists. If just tomorrow I decided to go back to Shopify from Art Storefronts, I can export all of my data out of Art Storefronts, take that to Shopify, import it. I've got all that data. I can move my data from MailChimp to another platform, no problem at all. I export it, I move it to the other platform. I own that data, right? My business, my ownership. If tomorrow I decided that I wanted to invest all of my time in TikTok rather than Facebook, right? I can't go and export my list of followers on Facebook and then try and find them on TikTok. It doesn't work like that, right? And if Facebook decided to deplatform me, I no longer have access to that audience either, all right? So it's a really critical thing. When you're spending money to grow your business online using ads, using social, the first question is, what is your goal? Now, if your goal is to get more eyeballs on your stuff, that's a waste of money, right? You're paying for eyeballs in a rented space, not helpful to your business. If your goal is to help grow your social audience, again, not helpful, not going to work for you in the long term. If your goal is to sell stuff and you've got 100 followers or 200 or even 1,000 followers, you got 1,000 people on your email list, you're not selling every month, you're not selling every week already. If your goal is to sell stuff using ads, that will not work. If you're selling $10,000 a month already online, you can use ads to help grow that 10,000 to 15 to 20 to 100, right? There's no question about that. But if you're starting from zero, you cannot use the ads to help you grow your sales. You need to use the ads to grow something that you can then control to build towards sales. So my philosophy is, and this is the way we operate our business, is we use ads to grow our email list. Once people are on our email list, then we target them every week with an email that talks about the art. We call it a romance email because what we're trying to do is build relationships. We're trying to build a relationship between the person on the email list, the art, and the artist. Okay, in this case, I'm writing those emails, but my goal is to build a relationship between Natalie and her art and that person on the email list, right? And I facilitate that as the manager of the business. But for you, it's much simpler. You're trying to get people onto your email list so they can get to know you as a person and your art, okay? Once they get to know you and your art, then they're much more likely to buy. But the thing with this, and this is it's probably the most underestimated factor in marketing today, is time. Now, if we were face-to-face and I was showing you something that I just completed, a new photograph, I was showing you a print and talking to you about the story for the print and all of that, right? We can build a relationship in a few minutes and you might go, oh my God, John, that's really cool. I love it. Let me buy it. I'll give you one. Here's one here on my wall. I only have one of my artworks on the wall. Right. So let's get it. So it's going to show it. It's going to blur it out. So can we get it? No. Okay. not going to work because I've got the blurry thing on. Let me see if I can turn off the blur thing for a second. All right. Okay. So this is a sunrise. Now, this sunrise is important to me. It's a beautiful spot, Lake Macquarie. It's near my home. But this sunrise is really important to me because this was my first sunrise post-COVID. We had some pretty harsh lockdowns here in Australia. So we weren't allowed to leave our homes for a period of time, except for essential things, right? So that sunrise was the first shoot that I had post-COVID. Okay, so that's really important to me. So if I was going to talk to you about that, I'll tell you, we talk about the story, what it did that morning, beautiful morning, obviously, and that was my photo, right? We could build a relationship in a few minutes' time, and you might go, my God, John, that's really cool. That connects with me. I live on Lake Macquarie, and I miss being able to go out there and watch the sunrise. That'd be cool. I'd like to have that in my home. We could do that in a few minutes, right? But when we're doing that online, you need to build trust, and it's harder to build trust in an email. If you're happy to do what I'm doing today and stand in front of a camera and talk to people, tell stories about your art, then that's going to help you build that and build that quicker. But most artists are much happy to stand behind the camera than in front of the camera, okay? So you need to tell your stories of your art through your emails, through your social posts, and that takes time. Like I said before, it's the most underestimated time factor in marketing. For some people, it can take 6 months. For some people, it can take 12 months. For some people, it takes 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, right? But you build momentum, you build confidence, and things start to happen. And once one thing happens, then the next thing happens, all of a sudden it snowballs. But you need to get to that point, and that's where people get frustrated because they're not patient enough to wait through the process. There is no silver bullet. You need to be yourself. You need to share as much as you possibly can about you and your work, and build relationships with your audience, right? And that just takes time, okay? So when it comes to growing, my focus is on using marketing to grow my email list so I can start to build relationships with my audience, okay? Once I've built relationships with my audience, then I'm in a much better position to sell. Okay. And then because we have such a big audience, we then use ads on top of that to encourage people to buy for the first time, buy for the second time, increase their order value, all those sorts of things. You can't do that when you're starting from zero, right? If you haven't got several thousand people following you on email, on Facebook or on Instagram, you haven't got several thousand people on your email list, there is absolutely no point spending any money. And the last factor, and you aren't actually already selling regularly, right? You've got 5, 10, 15 orders a week that are coming in regularly. If you're not already doing that, then there's no point spending money trying to sell stuff on using ads. You use that money to help grow your email list, grow your audience so that you can build relationships with more people and increase those sales that way, okay? So knowing your goals, and really, for the majority of you, the one goal is going to be to help you grow your email list, okay? Now, if you're not in a position to do that, and you've got some money put aside for marketing, my answer to that would be put that aside for the moment, sell some more stuff using face-to-face sales, whatever else, other methods you have, whether you're selling through galleries, through restaurants, whatever, right? Save some money. Once you've got a chunk of money, then invest it, okay? Don't just think, I've got $500 now, I want to spend it, do some marketing because I want to spend it. If you've got nothing that you can get value return for that, then there's no point spending that money. You're better off saving it for the time when you have enough money to invest properly in growing, okay? Don't spend $50, $100 on a boost. Now, we've all seen these. I want to show this. This is one of those things that we talk about all the time. I see people asking this question every day, right? Let me just bring up this thing. Let's get the whole screen on. Come on. Okay, so here we go. So we all have seen this when we're in. Actually, it's not here because I've got it in another screen. It's the preview. Stop. Here we go. Right, so we've all seen this. We go into our Facebook page and We see this little button down here. It says boost post. Boost this post to reach 359 more people if you spend 14 bucks. Now, reaching 359 more people. Yeah. So what's that going to do for me? Right. It's not going to say that you're going to get more engagement, not going to get more comments, nor shares. You're not going to get someone to your website even. Just 359 more people are going to see it. If I click on the button, and maybe it gives me options, and it does give me options. Okay, if I spend 50 bucks, I can see more people can see all of that. Honestly, that analogy I discussed earlier, where flushing your money down the drain will give you the same level of satisfaction. I honestly believe that. Do not be tempted to click on this button, okay? Do not. It is just a great way for you to burn some money, okay? We have plastic money here in Australia, so if you burn it, it stinks. But in America, you've got paper money. You want to burn your paper money, do that. But to me, it's the same as flushing it down the toilet. Don't boost, okay? Now, this is really, really important, and I'm going to share this in the chat for anybody who wants to look at it after the fact. But there is a thing that I have on my website, and let me just show you. First, I've got all of these windows open. And that window, let me just open it here. Okay. So, Natalie. Okay. So, I use this little tool, and it's in Google. I'm in Google Chrome, okay? Whatever browser you use, they have a version of this. It's called the Metapixel Helper. Now, the Metapixel Helper helps you identify that your pixel's on your website. So this tells you the number of your pixel. Now, if you're on art storefronts like us, let me show you where this comes up. So if you're on art storefronts, you click in the jump to menu down to integrations. When you get to integrations, you get to this page, right? And you can see here, this is the number of our pixel, 594. When we go to the website and click on the helper, right, 594. Okay, hang on. I just clicked on another pixel. So you can see 594. So this is the correct pixel. Now you can see here these green ticks and these yellow ticks. Now the yellow ticks, it's saying that this hasn't happened yet, right? But what we can do, and this is really cool, is we can click on the website and we can see what else happens. Right, so let's just, I'm just going to add this calendar. We're selling 2024 calendars already. They're in pre-launch mode, which means we're pre-selling them. We're not shipping them until September later this year. But at the moment, we're selling them so that we've got the funds to be able to buy them, right? You can see here, it's tracked the add to cart. It's tracked find location, which means you've been on a website page for a period of time. Page view is just any page on the website, but view content is viewing a product. This is a product. It's tracked all of that, which is fantastic. It's tracked the add to cart, which is really, really important. Okay, so the pixel is working. Now, if you're on art storefronts again, now if you're not on art storefronts, you're on other platforms, then you'd have to message me and I can show you how to find where to set your pixel up on your website. But when you're in art storefronts, you'll notice that there's actually two parts to your pixel. Okay, so you've got Facebook Pixel ID. Now, 18 months ago, 2 years ago, Apple made a big change which allowed users to say whether advertisers could continue to track them. Now, that we call that iOS 14 update. That's when it happened. But since then, obviously, we're significantly past iOS 14. But that tracking meant that the pixel is only partially functional now, right? However, after a little bit of time, Facebook was able to make a change which allows us to get more in-depth, detailed data from users on our website, not necessarily losing the data that comes via iOS 14. So this is called the Facebook Conversions API. Now, if you're on art storefronts, this is baked in. So you just have to go and find it, okay? Now, even if you're not advertising today, you're thinking one day in the future you may want to advertise, then to me, you need to have these two pieces of information on your website because it starts tracking the visitors to your website so that in the future you can use these audiences. So I'm going to talk you through that, right? So if you're on art storefronts and you haven't got, this is blank, the access token is blank, It's very easy to find. You go to your events manager. Now, your events manager is your pixel, essentially, right? And we click on the pixel here, and we go to settings, which is the last tab across the top. We scroll down a little bit. We can see here, generate access token. Now, if this is grayed out, then there's probably a verification you need to do. But if it's not grayed out, you can generate that access token. I'm not going to do it now because I've already got my access token. Once it's generated, then you copy it and you paste it in here and you save by clicking update, right? And that saves that, and that gives you more in-depth tracking on your website. But why would we want to do that, right? Now, so this is really, really important. And this is what we track using audiences, okay? So in our audiences, let me see if I can just sort these by name. Okay, I'm just going to make this a bit bigger for a second. Okay, so let me just bring that back down to where we were. Okay. So make this a little bit bigger so we can fit the information in. All right. Okay. Yeah, that's not helpful, is it? Okay. Why are you doing this to me? Okay, here we go. I use a very wide screen here in my office, and unfortunately the wide screen is playing havoc with this. Okay, here we go. Right, so you can see here, I've got different types of audiences that I use. All right, and we're going to talk about the types of audiences in a minute. But let's just talk about some of the things that we're able to track. Okay, so what I can do is, using my Facebook pixel, I can track all of my customers in the last 14 days, right? You can see that that audience isn't big. Yes, we're not selling more than 1,000 orders in the 14 days. So that audience is smaller than 1,000. Unfortunately, with Facebook audiences, the minimum number you can track is 1,000. Okay, so 1,000 plus it starts tracking. Below that, it just says below 1,000. You don't know whether that's 5 people or 999, right? It's just below 1,000. Okay. Right, you can see here down here a few. Let's look at something else. Instagram engagement, right? So we can track obviously what happens on our Facebook page, what happens on our Instagram page, and what happens on our website. So they're the 3 key areas we can track. So Instagram engagement in the last 30 days, 1,400 to 1,600 people. Okay, Instagram engagement in the last year, 7,200 to 8,500. Now look at the Facebook engagement, right? Last year, 178,000 to 209,000 people, right? So it's giving me a range, right? But these are people that we could then target for ads, okay? So if people have engaged with the Facebook page but aren't on the email list, right, then we can engage them to get them on the email list, okay? You can see here my Facebook engagement last 6 months, 180 days. Yeah, it's still substantial, over 100,000 people. Okay, 7,000 to 8,000 in the last 30 days. So these are all audiences we can target. So we use these audiences for targeting in different ways. So you can see here, what these audiences I call, where they've got some value, I call them a remarketing audience. So there are ways that we can target these people to get them to buy stuff, or to potentially to move them up the chain to potentially buying stuff. You can see here, there's people who have viewed a product on the website in the last 180 days. 180 days is the maximum for a website conversion, right? So it's people who visited the website and looked at specific products in the last 180 days. There's 4,700 people, okay? So that's a substantial audience. We could target those people target them to get them to buy, okay? We have our Facebook store set up. We've got the product catalog set up. So in fact, we could actually retarget those people with the products that they've looked at, okay? This is really advanced stuff, right? This is just giving you an idea of the power of what we can do in here, okay? People who've purchased from us, okay, last 30 days, we've got all sorts of audiences. We've got our audience from our ads that we've generated. So people who've joined the email list in the last 180 days, people in the last, people who visited limited edition products, right? We've got different products in the website. We can target different people, okay? We've also got our email list as we've updated. That's a manual update. So we go and export or we actually don't export, we sync our MailChimp list with our Facebook audience, and then we can target our most up-to-date list. We can also target our older lists if we wanted to, okay? But down here, then we have what we call warm audiences. So these are people who've engaged. They haven't shown an intent to buy yet, right? So they've engaged with the Facebook page. They've engaged with the Instagram page. They visited the website, but they haven't necessarily taken a action that shows us they're ready to buy yet, okay? So we're not trying to sell to the warm audience. What we're trying to do with a warm audience is engage them more to bring them closer to the buying stage, right? We're never trying to sell to a warm audience. The only audience that we're targeting for sales is these earlier ones, the remarketing audiences, right? These are people who've shown an intent to buy, okay? We never try and sell to warm or cold audiences. So a warm audience is someone who knows who we are, has engaged with us in some way in the past, okay? This is really important. They know who we are and they've engaged with us in some way in the past, right? Whereas a remarketing audience is someone who's shown some sort of intent, perhaps to buy, right? They may not be quite ready to buy yet, but they've shown an intent, okay? And then we have what we call a cold. Now we can go right down to the bottom. Actually, they're right up the top because it's sorted in alphabetical order. So Natalie's art is Australian wildlife, okay? So we have cold audiences that we target through ones where we've used interests. So let me just quickly show you this audience so you can just get an idea of what's in here. So, you know, they're interested in Australian animals. They're interested in the interior art, right? This is quite a broad audience, okay? It's a very low value, cold audience targeting, okay? Sometimes we can get really, really targeted with audiences. Sometimes we don't, right? This is quite a broad audience and it's just a first scoop to see if we can get people to move to the next step, whether they visit the website, look at the Facebook page, those sorts of things, right? But we also have these audiences, this is really powerful, and this is where Facebook gets really interesting, right? They're called lookalike audiences, okay? And you can see this one. This lookalike audience is based off Natalie's email list, right? So we've done that sync with the email list, right? 18,000 people. We've synced that with Facebook. We then have an audience that Facebook has saved for us. And if I find this one, remarket NJP 1022 here. So it's somewhere between 7,000 and 8,500 people, right? Those 7,000 to 8,500 people, every single person Facebook tracks dozens, if not hundreds, of different markets for each individual who uses Facebook, right? So if you indicate an interest in one thing, you might indicate interest in a bunch of different things. Every person Facebook keeps track of those people, right? And then you're able to say, create an audience that's similar to this group of people. So every person has all of these things that are tracked. They all have similar factors and dissimilar factors. You ask Facebook to then create an audience bigger or smaller based on those people, okay? So I want to get more people that are similar to those people that are already on my email list so that I can target them potentially to join my email list. That's what we use these for, right? So we use these remarketing audiences, the remarketing audience to create a lookalike audience, and then we target the lookalike audience. And a lookalike audience, be very clear about this. This is not a remarketing audience. These lookalike audiences are cold audiences. They've never heard of us before. So we're targeting these people to help join our email list. Not targeting them to sell stuff. They're cold audiences. They're a look alike, but they're based on a remarketing audience, right? We're using these people to then target, potentially to join our email list, okay? One step at a time, okay? We're not trying to get people to just buy stuff from us the first time we talk to them. We target people to get them on the email list, and we use our romance marketing with our daily Facebook posts, our weekly email, to step them up the chain to the point where they're ready to buy something, right? And we know that process, depending on the person, takes anywhere between a month and 2 years, okay? We get some clients that will buy very quickly. We get some clients that will buy a year, 2 years down the track, but we know that there is a process and people get there, okay? Right? It's that patience thing. Patience is much easier when you've got money in the bank. I know it's hard when you don't, okay? But that's really important. But this is the information we get from having, let me just close this window down a bit so it all fits in there again. Having people visit our website, and we're tracking this data here with their pixel, okay? So we know that the pixel's working. Let me just refresh this so we can see that the pixel's showing up. All right, so the pixel is showing that people are tracking, right? When we look in the pixel, so let me just go in there. You can actually see recent events when you go into your pixel. You can go into overview, all right? And you can see what people are doing. Let me just widen this because this is really interesting. Let's move it across. Okay, so this is what's been tracked on the pixel. You can see the last event was a little while ago, 32 minutes ago. This hasn't been refreshed. So if I refresh this, it should show more recent events. Okay, I'm still saying 32 minutes. There is a time delay sometimes, but at the end of the day, view content, all right? So they're looking at a product. Sorry, they're looking at the website, all right? 58,000 people. Page view, looking at a specific product in the website, 11,000 people. This is in the last month, right? 28 days, right? So this data we can then use to target people in the future. We can retarget these people who've bought, people who haven't bought, okay? Right? All these things are things that we can target people for in the future. This event match quality, this isn't good at the moment, and there seems to be some issues between the pixel and the website setup. But at the end of the day, we're still tracking data. We know we're getting live data in there. You know, the better the quality of the data, obviously, the better. But at the end of the day, we still have the data, so we're able to use it. Okay. But these things help us grow our business because this information helps us grow audiences. If we grow audiences, then we can target different people with our ads for different things. Okay. But for you as a newbie, at the very least, if you've got your pixel installed, like I showed you, it's here in your website on Art Storefronts. You've got those two locations. If those two things are completed, and that's something that we do for all of our clients, if that information is completed, then we're tracking as much data as we possibly can for the people who visit your website. So in the future, whether that future is tomorrow, next week, 6 months, or 12 months down the track, you're able to target those people for ads for different things, right? Not just to grow your email list. Okay, now, so with audience targeting, remembering cold audience is people who are interested in stuff that's similar to your art, right? But they've never heard of you before. That's the critical thing, right? They like stuff like what you do, right? So in Natal East Coast, people who like Australian wildlife, okay? People like koalas, they like kangaroos, they like wombats, those sorts of people. That's a cold audience, but they've never heard of Natalie, okay? Cold audience. A warm audience is someone who has heard of Natalie. They visited her Facebook page. They've interacted with her Instagram page. They've been to the website. That's a warm audience, right? And then we have this third type of audience, which we use for targeting for sales. And this is third type of audience only is useful when you've got volume, okay? And that third type of audience is what we call a remarketing audience, okay? So a remarketing audience is people who have not just heard of Natalie, they've engaged with Natalie at a higher level in the past, and they've shown some sort of intent to buy, right? It also includes customers, obviously, so people who have actually bought, but it's people who've added to cart, people who've looked at specific products, people who've engaged on multiple times. These are people that are got a higher intent to buy, and they're the audience that we try and sell to. We never try to sell to a cold or a warm audience, and that's critical. And that's where newbies on ads really make a mistake. This is where you can waste thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, where you say, I'm going to put my art on my website, I'm going to put a Facebook post up, and I'm going to boost that post, or I'm going to run a highly complex ad to get people to buy that piece of art, right? It's not going to work. It will fail, okay? Because the people who have never heard of you before, the people who have only engaged with you lightly aren't ready to buy yet, right? So you're trying to do something that doesn't work with that audience, okay? That's the critical thing. That's the critical cost saving. Okay, now people ask me all the time, what budget should I spend? If you're going to actually spend some time, you're going to build an ad set, right? You're going to build some ads. Now, to me, I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you don't know ads, don't do ads. There are 100 permutations on top of 100 permutations on top of 100 permutations, right? There is no quick guide to running ads. You need to understand the consequences of all of the pieces of the puzzle, okay? And it's changing constantly. We learn new things every week, okay? And we're running ads for many people every single week, okay? And we're learning new things. So if you're doing it once on your own, you've got a smaller budget to play with, it takes longer to learn the lessons, and you can't see those changes necessarily on a week-to-week basis because you've jumped in whenever that is, okay? Use someone to help you run Facebook ads, okay? But again, you need to understand and you need to be strong in what your intent is. Don't get some Facebook ads expert who's used to selling, helping restaurants market $5 pizzas, right? $5 pizzas are really easy to sell, okay? Facebook ads for that, simple as, right? Because all you're trying to do is get people to buy a $5 pizza. You're not trying to get someone to buy a $5 pizza. You're trying to find someone who loves your work and who is intending to buy in the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months time, all right? It's a completely different proposition. So don't just use a Facebook ads expert. Use someone who understands ads and understands artists, right? That's why we exclusively only work with artists. We do one thing, we do it really well because we understand the market. We understand what we're trying to achieve with Facebook ads, right? And I'm not saying you have to use us, but if you're going to spend money running ads, work with someone who understands ads, and particularly someone who understands ads in the artist market, okay? Because otherwise, you're better off just leaving that money in the bank. Don't waste your money, right? You've decided you're going to do it. So you've got a budget, right? Now, the reality is you've got a budget. You need to have a budget for paying someone to help you do the ads and a budget for running the ads, right? Depending on who you work with, that could be a few $100s a month. I know guys that run Facebook ads for people that will not charge less than $1,000 a month. Okay, we're not even close to that price. Okay, you need to find someone who can help you run the ads, and you're going to spend a few $100s minimum a month just on getting the right person to help you run those ads. In addition, you need to have money to spend on ads, right? Now, we tell our clients, we recommend $150 to $300 a month to run ads, which is $5 to $10 a day, okay? With $5 to $10 a day, you can break through the noise, right? What it is also, which is important, is there's no point running ads for 6 weeks and then running out of money. You need to be able to do this ideally long-term, but certainly for 3, 6, 12 months at a time, okay? So you need to be able to budget, say a few $100s for your consultant, a few $100s for ads, and 6 to 12 months ideally, okay? So if you can't budget for that, then again, don't waste your money. Don't do it. Save your money, go and do some art fairs, pay for some entries in some galleries, those sorts of things, sell some art and come back to the ads, okay? Because if you don't have the cash to invest, then you're wasting your time, okay? Don't spend that money, spend it on something else, but don't invest it in ads thinking you can work this out on your own, You will just burn your money with no results, okay? And that's the last thing I want for you. I want to help you grow your art business. And sometimes the best thing to tell someone, or the best thing to know as a business owner, is when not to do something, right? When not to do something, when to say no, right? Just because everybody else thinks that they should be running Facebook ads doesn't mean that you need to run Facebook ads, okay? You can run Facebook ads, absolutely, but do it with the help of an expert. Do it with the help of someone that can walk you through this process, take the stress out of this process, and guarantee you that you're going to get some sort of result, okay? Because the reality is, if you do it on your own, you're going to get a result, and that result is really simple. Go back to that analogy, take $100, flush it down the toilet. Instead of taking $100 out of your wallet, flushing it down the toilet, flush $2,000 or $3,000 down the toilet, right? That's where you're going to learn that lesson, okay? Right? And it sounds drastic. I'm sorry, but I know, because I did all of these mistakes myself. It took me 6 years to work this stuff out, right? You do not want to spend 6 years working this stuff out and spend tens of thousands of dollars working it out, right? I've already done that. I've learned the lessons. Now I can share my experience by helping you the other way around, okay? Help you avoid those issues. So when it comes to budget, remember you need to budget for someone to help you and for your ads. So you're talking a minimum, probably $400, $500 a month, okay, for ads. If you can't afford $500 a month, then just don't run ads, okay? Don't think that there's a cheaper or quicker way to do it. There isn't. Well, there is, but you're just going to lose more money, okay? You don't need to do that. You're better off investing that $500 a month, either putting in the bank account till you've got some saved up, you can afford to do 6 months or 12 months with an ad, or use that money to invest in going and doing 3 or 4 art fairs and making some real money so you can come back and invest some money in shows, right? That is the better strategy, okay? Now, finally, I've said this before, and I want to finish on it because I think it is really important. Don't do this on your own, okay? You will end in pain. You will be cranky with yourself. You'll think you can do it. You'll have a go. You'll muck it up. And all you'll do is waste your money, okay? The best piece of advice I can give you is, if you can't afford to pay someone to help you do it, then don't do it at all. Honestly, that will save you more money than anything else I can teach you, okay? So if you can't afford to pay someone to help you run ads, don't run ads at all. I really mean that. Okay, so I've come to the end of our session today. What I wanted to do was just quickly mention how we help fellow artists. So we run one program, we do it very well. We don't run social media posts for you. We don't do any of that stuff. We don't write emails for you, right? 2 reasons for that. One, most importantly, is you, the artist, can only be you're the only person that can be you, okay? So when you're trying to communicate and connect with your audience as an artist, the best person to do that is you. Your most important marketing task that you do every week is writing that email to your audience, right? And nobody can write that email better than you, okay? So what we do is we don't do that stuff for you. Instead, what we do is we take the pain out of growing your email list. We take that process off you, make it as simple as it possibly can to get the best possible results for your money, so that instead of worrying about how to find the people, your focus is on how do I build relationships with this group of people who are coming into my inbox every single day, right? So we take the stress out of growing your email list by running that process for you. So instead of you worrying about how do I grow my email list, you worry about how do I communicate with my email list, okay? And that's the process we do. Because I run 2 art businesses myself, I also provide training every 2 weeks. We do an online session like this, but in more depth with our clients only. So only our clients get access to these sessions, not the free sessions like today's session. We have dedicated training sessions for our clients to help them grow their art business by teaching them specific tasks, right? Dealing with the things that are stressing them out right now in their art business. In addition, once a quarter, we do a one-to-one with our clients. So our clients, I sit down on Zoom with a one-to-one with each of my clients, and we talk through the issues that they specifically are dealing with. So we have an hour where we just focus on them and their business, right? If that's something that sounds like it's exciting for you, then what I would suggest is you drop me an email, okay, or DM me on Facebook and say, hey, John, I'd like to find out more, okay? And we can help you out. We really focus on growing art businesses. That's what I'm doing. I'm growing my own art businesses, and I want to help you grow your art business, okay? So thank you for joining me today. I have another session coming up in August, and you'll get the details for that in an email coming in the future. But thank you for joining me today. And if you want to know more about our program, would like to join us and work with us in the future, then drop me an email or send me a message on Facebook. Thank you very much. Goodbye.